Hello and welcome to week 9 of the 116 Burn Down. We are in week 2 of Burn Down. Today is August 26, 2019. Lovely to see everybody's faces. Welcome, release team. A little known fact, I'm not sure if everybody's forecasting out, but we are about 4 Mondays away from the release. So not too much time left. The 16th of September is the slated release date. So that should motivate everybody and encourage everybody. And also just a little bit of, whoa, that's coming really quickly. So before we get into a little housekeeping, all conversations are subject to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which basically says be excellent to each other. Please place your name in the attendees section. I'm going to send the lazy link. Okay, and one of those Mondays is Labor Day. So we'll pick it up. Regarding Labor Day, I propose that I'll talk about it in the update section. I don't want to jump the gun on my updates. Please place your name in the attendees section, and if I can have somebody to note take, that would be very, very appreciated. Let's get into it. Enhancements update with Kendrick.
Hey everybody, let's go pretty quickly. So right now we have had 2 that dropped off from last week. So we were at 39, I believe. Now we're at 37. So ingress networking, that was going to be graduating to beta, has been removed. As sidecar containers, that's been deferred as well. Both of these just said they weren't going to get their PRs in on time. Today, I'm going to be rolling through all of the issues that are being tracked, start pinging those issue owners, even some here on the call. So they're going to get your own little email notifications coming in just to make sure that all the KKPRs are being tracked. And so by the time Thursday comes around, we'll be able to have a pretty good estimation exactly what did or did not make it in by Friday morning. Stuff that didn't get merged by Friday morning, we'll have to go through the typical exception process to be added back in to be tracked for this particular release. So with that, that's all I got, and happy Code Freeze week.
Thanks, Kenny. Moving on to CI Signal update with George.
So first off, happy Monday, everyone. In the world of CI Signal, so just to start off, we are working on sending out the report. It'll be out sometime today. But some notable events for this past week. So after a lot of discussion, we are going to be we're going to make an effort to for in the future to work more with SIGs in order to reorganize all the CI jobs, make sure that no jobs are too loaded, and so things can run frequently. They don't take 8 hours or more to run for things are on the release blocking jobs. Also make sure that that the release blocking dashboards properly reflect the features that people are interested during a given release. So that was discussed a little bit last week, but we're going to continue the work this week on drafting some type of policy to make the whole area of work run a little bit smoother between the release team and the owning SIGs. Now on to actual updates. So master blocking, there currently is one job failing. I think it's a kind-based job. It's a kind-based job, and there are multiple SIG networking jobs failing. All of them are dependent on the stability and usage of dual stack. So all of them use IPv6. IPv6. There is a fix that has been proposed, and it's currently under review. Other than that, last Friday there was a new pre-submit job that actually test test IPv6. So that's also a new thing. It's been that one has been a little bit flaky. I see multiple PRs are constantly failing on the new kind IPv6 pre-submit, but hopefully with this fix, that's going to be resolved. Other than that, flakes on master blocking and master informing, no persistent failures. At this point, nothing. It doesn't look like we should be worrying about too much. And master informing, the only existing failures right now are related to the dev and RPM jobs. And the last update from that was from DIMS, and they are actually refactoring some of the scripts to they're refactoring some of the Docker scripts. They were failing because they were designed to be run locally, so they tried to create an interactive session inside of a container. Obviously, there might be some troubles with that running these jobs on CI, so that's getting fixed. Now, 116 blocking, 116 informing. Also, no failures, no failures at this moment. Flakes. It doesn't look like there's anything that we should worry about there either. Release miscellaneous, same story. No persistent failures. So other than the kind IPv6 failure, everything seems to be okay, and that is currently being worked on. And other than that, yeah, I saw a hand go up.
Yeah, I was going to ask for your reasoning for having the status be red.
Because of the kind IPv6 job.
Any failure? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that job is in master blocking.
Very good.
Do we have any idea at this point on whether it's the job or whether IPv6 is actually broken?
We are. There's enough information to be confident to a certain degree that it is actually the job that is broken. So the kind of IPv6 jobs in the master dashboards for test grid, and they were also added for 115, 114, and 113. All of them they were already running under they were already running in a SIG in the SIG test grid dashboard. So before I think these tests were added last week. So before last week, all the jobs were actually green and stable. So so it seems like IPv6 is working as intended. Just a couple things that need to be fixed on the end-to-end testing framework. Other than that, anybody else has any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, just a couple. Thanks, George, for the update. So it looks like there is considerable movement on that IPv6 getting it fixed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no need to that'll run its course. Albeit, have you expressed? I haven't looked at that ticket. I could pull it up. Have you expressed, the fact that it's sitting in master blocking and that we're all fretting about it?
Yeah. There's been a lot of conversation with that, and as I mentioned, the people working on it, they also added a pre-submit job. So in the future, hopefully that's going to be of a lot of help to prevent this type of failures from occurring in the release blocking jobs. Just make it easier for us to catch any issue that comes up.
Okay, thank you. And in the master informing, those two failing jobs, they've been failing throughout the whole release, right? And Stevens, are they still the two that Stevens working on?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to get them cleaned up. I will ping Steven. And then finally, I know Josh had asked last week in 116 informing, did you ever get to the bottom? I know there was a quick update on why those three or four additional kind checks were missing, kind jobs from 116 informing.
I have a I have a partial answer. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to actually give you a full story, because I think one of the issues is just I think there is a knowledge gap between what we expect to have in the release test grid dashboards and the way that people usually work. So for example, the kind jobs are the kind jobs are an amazing example because they were the latest jobs that were actually added. So those jobs were added to master informing after a lot of discussion. We wanted to make sure that they were stable before bumping them to release blocking. They're currently they still flake every now and then, so that's why they are on master informing. But they're actually they're really good for providing signal. But the jobs were specifically added just for release informing. No additional information whatsoever was added in order for the jobs to be coupled with the tools that actually create the 116 dashboards. So one of the tools it lives on the testing infra repo. It's called config forker. The way it looks, and from the couple conversations that I have with people that were working on those jobs, is adding just coupling the actual proud job configuration with config forker was not an it's not actually a requirement. So people so it seems that people don't people don't do it. Then once we actually create a new branch, the new jobs are configured, and they just use whatever existing jobs actually are coupled with the config forker. Again, we don't actually audit which jobs those are. So for example, in order to actually add any new jobs, the status quo right now is that people have to explicitly go create a new job configuration, add it to the for example, add it to the 115 dashboard. So they don't actually use config forker, and then some other jobs from ages ago, they were actually coupled with config forker, and they just keep randomly appearing, even though we don't have them on the on master blocking or master informing. For example, there's a GKE conformance job that is in a master blocking, master informing, or anywhere else, just because at some point in the past somebody actually bothered to couple it with config forker, and it just keeps on appearing. So again, I think a good way of fixing this in the future is to come up with a policy, with a workflow for people to just be for people to have a list of steps that they need to run through in order to add a job to master informing or master blocking.
Okay, understood. Is so I guess my next question is there a canonical set of release informing jobs that should be there? For now, if I take a look at what the past was, at least as a guide, 115, 114, 113 all have those jobs, and 116 does not. I understand that it's at the people's discretion to put things in the right place so they appear, but should we try? And I'm just worried about a lack of coverage there. Granted that it wasn't. Yeah, so I mean, we can go and put policies in place, but the short fix is, hey, how about we at least get them to match what was in the last release? Only because I'm worried about coverage. Unless you tell me that they because if it's not in 116 informing, once code thaw and we're completely off master, I just want to make sure that there is a appropriate set of tests for that release. At the moment, it's not so obvious because master and 116 are pretty much fast forwarded to head every week.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just wondering, should we try and match them? Should we take the effort to try and match them, or
What's mainly missing is the kubeadmin tests. And I remember from the last meeting, somebody said they were actually talking to Cluster Lifecycle about making sure this were updated for 116. But I don't
Yes.
remember who was doing that.
So a couple things onto that. So the canonical set of jobs that should run on any release. That's definitely what's in master informing in this case, master blocking, master informing. So that's one thing. The discrepancy between for example, the discrepancy between 115 and 116 is last week. I think it was Aaron. He actually did the job of creating the jobs for 115, 114, 113, and hopefully I'm not taking credit away from anyone, but I vaguely recall that it was Aaron. So he went through the effort of actually creating those jobs for previous releases. So the other thing is that the quick fix is that we need to replicate that effort and just create a new set of jobs based on what's in master informing for the cube admin kind of jobs, and create another set for 116. So the quick fix is to create more the same set of kinder jobs for 116, and we will be and that was part of the plan for this week for CI Signal, that we were gonna get in contact with Cluster Lifecycle to actually get that done. So hopefully that'll be at all the previous releases will have the same set of master of informing jobs by the end of this week.
okay? So, all right. So it sounds like you have it in hand this week, and next Monday when we take a look, or next Tuesday, given it's Labor Day, we should see the appropriate combination. Is that the right thing to do? Quick fixes aside.
In this case, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I appreciate that it's a stopgap measure because you don't have policy, so things can inherently come out of sync. I guess the timely issue that we have now is the later we add them, if they are broken, then we've got to go back and actually figure out how to fix them. So the sooner we get them later, and we're focused on 116 specifically, and once master diverges from the release, I'm very concerned about making sure that 116 is adequately tested given past testing. So anything we can do to get that signal out of that sooner, I think would be beneficial. Given that I do, even when I go and look at 115 informing, I see that kind of check is failing on 115. So, I don't know if that's going to happen in 116, but there's something that's going to be a problem, and it's flaky. It's flaky on 114 to 115, the upgrade job. So just to make sure that you don't rail yourself into having a heap of work in the last couple of weeks any more than you already will have, I think getting them up there would be a good idea.
absolutely.
All right. Sounds like you have that in hand. Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
One thing I also mentioned is there is one job that's in 116 blocking that's supposed to be in 116 informing, and there's already a test infra issue open for that. So the reboot job is supposed to be in informing and not blocking, because it doesn't get reliably fixed when it breaks.
Definitely. Yes, thank you for that. I forgot to mention that one.
Excellent. Okay, so assuming 116 gets fixed, sorry, the CI signal for the jobs, I should say, for IPv6 get fixed, we should be green. That's the only thing preventing green at this point. And that was a late binding addition last week. So that's additional jobs we never had. But, we have V6 coming in, so we need them. Okay, cool. Bug triage with Josiah.
Hello, Josiah here for bug triage. So I'll open with the number of open issues and PRs that we have remaining. So we have 66 open non-test or flake issues destined for 116, and that's down from 4 open that we had last meeting. So for open PRs, we have 47, that's down by 5. And for all open issues, including tests and flake issues, we have 79, and that's down by 5. So 1 more than the non-test or flake issues, down by 1 more. So where we are at, we've started pinging all of the issues. Previously, we were pinging issues that had been inactive since July primarily, and now we are pinging all issues. And we may go back and take a second pass through already pinged issues for those that we have not gotten a response for yet, as soon as we have finished pinging everything. Since the upcoming milestone is this Thursday, end of day Pacific time for code freeze. So I might add as well, if any other teams need help with bug triage, feel free to contact us. We're here to assist with that. Thanks.
Thanks, Josiah and bug triage. Any questions?
I have a question. Do you have any metrics at this point in terms of responses and confidence level of anybody responding to pinging issues?
No, we don't.
Did that make sense?
Yes, it does. I think that would be a great thing to have. We don't have any specific metrics, like, for example, a fraction that have been replied to or so on, and we are talking about adding those to our workflow, but we don't have those at this time.
Okay, yeah, just because in general, it's like if somebody was like, oh, I know exactly what that is, and I just need to like get it in and I can do it, but not right now, you know, that's one thing, right? But if nobody replies, that's totally another. And
if we could categorize these things.
But, you know, I was just wondering if you had a general feel for it. I wasn't going to be like, write everything down.
Yeah, maybe Marco can comment on the general feel since he's organizing us and we have it fractionated between 4 shadows at the moment. It's hard for me
to.
Yeah, so as a quick update, it is getting better. We are getting more and more responses, but regarding the issues, it is not that good. Turnaround is, we have a lot. It is about, I think, 40%. It was last meeting that we had no responses on. It is not that good, but we are going to try to improve that, or if it is still that not active, we need to see probably how are we going to act on those issues. Do we want just to move them to another milestone and remove them from milestones? I am going to see, maybe create some metrics. I think it is going to be harder to automate that, but I will try to do it and add some metrics to the bug triage spreadsheet, and we'll keep you updated on the next meeting.
Thanks, Marco, and thanks, Josiah, the bug triage team. Docs update with Vineeth.
Hello everyone, this is Vineeth from Docs team working as a shadow. So this week we are running in green. So last week we are done with all the Docs placeholder PRs are in place, and as September 3rd is the due for Docs PR ready for review. So we are working on it. Other than that, we are going good with this, and we had an amazing session from Tunde on merge conflict resolution for the shadows, and yes, we are doing good.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vineeth.
Okay.
Any questions for Vineeth? I wanted just to change gears and go back to bug triage for a second, Josiah and Marco. Sorry to come back to you. What would it take to get you green? Like, what kind of numbers are we looking for you to be happy?
Yeah, probably in a sense that, let's say, I'm still not sure exactly, but I would just like to have more responses on the issues. So this is something I'm looking at mostly. I'm okay with if you say, yes, this is the number and we are going to fix most of them, but at this point we are not clear what's going to end up fixed and what's not going to end up fixed this release.
Okay, I would challenge you to figure out what's your metric to get green at this point, because
Okay.
I don't think it can be 0.
Yeah, definitely it can be.
But of what percentage are you going to feel comfortable that you've taken the adequate steps to get things reasonably resolved in 1.16 before the release goes out? The challenge I'm having is there's no historical data that I can pull at really easily, because we've never tracked. You've bubbled up numbers week over week and then percentage difference or number difference. In previous releases, we've just linked to the dashboard and they've all been pulled at different points. I mean, probably we could go back and dive in there, but I'm just wondering, of this release, how are we tracking? Is there more bugs open at this point or less? You know what I mean? So it would be interesting as you're formulating anything to automate, what are your measures of success? And maybe there's some pieces of this in the handbook. And any automation that could maybe even trend it over time and graph it, so that if I'm in 1.17, the 1.17 lead can come and say, proportionally, I'm looking much worse than the last release at this point. I don't know if that adds any value, but for me as a release lead, and you telling me it's red, I really need to know how to get you green. And at the moment, the only thing is more muscle and more awareness to get people to close things is how we get green. So I don't know if Josh or Stephen have anything to add. I mean, is this a normal pattern for us to be in right now, Josh? Are you concerned? I would just ask Josh as emeritus.
I was going to say it's normal, but that doesn't mean that it's not a cause for concern, because it's also normal for us to have outstanding critical issues 4 days before prospective release. And while that is something we've done multiple times, that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. So, I mean, particularly because so far we haven't had any project affecting unexpected developments this release cycle. It would be great if we could push on actually fulfilling some of our targets and things of, saying, hey, this should be green all the time. These should be getting closed in 3 days if they're marked critical urgent. In other words, pushing for cyclical improvement rather than just what we've done before.
Okay. Is there any way to bubble up the impact of these bugs? Is there any classification to say that this would be like hold the release?
Well, that's what
not bubbling up in CI signal.
Yeah, that's what priority critical urgent is supposed to be for. That and having it in the milestone, right? If you have those two things, then that's saying that this is release blocking. And
okay.
And Prow already bugs people. I mean, mind you, through their GitHub notices. So I don't, necessarily. It varies how much people actually see this, but Prow already bugs people if something is marked critical urgent. Like every 3 days, it notifies them and says, "Hey, you need to update this." If something is release blocking, then that is the appropriate priority for it. Sometimes depending on how borderline it is, you start it out with important soon and bump it up to critical urgent if you don't get a response. Now, materially, my experience has been that you have to ping people via Slack anyway, because everybody has too many GitHub notices and they miss stuff.
Okay, thanks for shedding some light there, Josh. So how about we take an action can you bubble up how many critical urgent or important soon you have as a subset of those?
Yes, I can.
Just because if you're saying it's 10 or 20 or 30, then obviously we have a problem. But if it's 1 or 0 and we're monitoring that, I'm not sure.
There are 6 critical urgent issues open as far as I see,
Okay.
and imported soon. Just a moment. 26 is imported soon.
Okay, so
So-
if we're saying critical urgent is blocking, we should probably have view on that. Important soon, in the context of what Josh was saying, was more about getting more eyes on them. But I don't know, do you think those numbers are useful?
I have in the past pinged sig leads on the critical urgent bugs when I haven't gotten a response from the issue, from pinging on the issue.
Yeah.
I used to just go and start with the sig channel and just at some folks, and if that doesn't get you a response within a day, then DMs.
And also don't be afraid, for that matter, if they have one this week, to attend a SIG meeting and put the critical urgent issues on their meeting agenda.
Okay.
I've done that, and sometimes that you have to do that if it turns out that the underlying issue is complicated and hard to fix. Because like sometimes people aren't responding because they're not noticing, and sometimes people aren't responding because they are noticing but they don't know how to fix the issue.
Okay, I get everything. Let me try to see what can I provide until the next meeting. I think we will come up with the plan, and I think we will improve that. But thank you so much for letting us know how we can fix some processes and improve it. So
Yeah, no
it helps
worries.
a lot.
Yeah, no, and it helps a lot. Thank you very much for your hard work.
Yeah, sure.
And if you want to give the release leads a list of issues, and because I know time zone wise, Marco, it may not be conducive to you staying up really late at night, but if you want to hand us a list and say, hey, Lockie, Gwyn, can you show up to SIG Network because we've got something critical urgent? It's just a matter of us knowing, and we can kind of take that as well and get it on the agenda and action it.
And also part of the idea of having shadows who are in a different time zone from you is that if most of the meetings are terrible for you, they might not be terrible for all your shadows.
Okay.
Even better.
We will make it work.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Release notes update with Sasha. I do not see Sasha on here. Anybody else present from the release notes team? Okay. Moving on. Comms update with Taylor.
Happy Monday, everybody. Short and sweet today as well. We do have the first draft going for the release blog post. I'm going to be posting that a little bit later, probably today or tomorrow. Still working with some of the SIGs to get their first drafts for blog posts. Looking for those this Friday. And then we have a couple meetings this week to go over some questions. We were able to set all the priorities for this release. So we're looking good on all fronts, but obviously always available if there's any questions or items that are worth talking about.
Excellent. Taylor, can you shoot over access to everything that you've been drafting up to the leads? I would like to just get ahead of, given that we're 3 weeks out, 3 or 4 weeks out, make sure that we have visibility, because I know we're going to get roped into a lot of things towards the end of release, and I want to make sure we have the same messaging as the comms team.
Absolutely. No, not a problem. I'll get that over to you.
Yeah, shoot it to Gwyn, myself, and Nico and Jeff.
Absolutely. No, definitely agreed. It's going to be on the same page.
I guess give us a week with it. If we have any questions, we can async it. And if we really need a conversation just to make sure we have nothing outstanding. It looks like you have had marked improvements since last Monday. Are you waiting on any of the SIGs to get back to you regarding their themes for this release, or it looks like that's been resolved?
Yes, I think that looking through all of the KEPs and PRs, we've already captured, ones from groups that we would want to focus on anyway.
Okay.
The groups that have not responded, I don't think that they would have made the top list as far as things to call out for this release. So we're looking good on that front.
Cool. Alrighty, thank you, Comms, and thank you, Taylor. Release branch management, Young.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
So for release branch management, we actually don't have much updates. Our next release coming up next week. That's all, I think. Thank you.
Thanks, Young. And I see that branch fast forwards happening. What cadence are they happening on?
Daily.
Daily, okay. And Nikita is taking care of them?
Me.
You are, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And don't foresee any issues in scheduling next Tuesday with Beta 2?
Yes. No
Fantastic.
questions for now.
Excellent. Thanks, Young, and I hope you had a nice week off last week. Thank you, Release Branch Management. Emeritus Lead, Josh.
So among other things, I'm going to start pinging people and teams this week about succession, because the goal is to actually have most of our role leads picked out by the week of release, so that we can actually start the 117 team with no more than a few days gap after release, and give them the maximum amount of time to work on things. So expect to see me pinging you on Slack from there, asking about who might want to be the role lead for the next cycle, and in the case of the current role leads, who you would recommend.
Thank you, Emeritus Leads. Thank you, Josh. Release lead update with myself. Thinking about coloring and status, I like to do this in burn down just to give an overall picture. I'm going to go with red, citing CI signal and their one failing job in master blocking, which is being addressed, and bug triage being red still. So we are making improvements to understand that, as everybody has heard, but we will go with red for now. What I would like to see is, more visibility on the bug triage so that we can assess how to chop that up, and CI signal looks like it's in good shape for this part of the release cycle. Upcoming milestones, so code freeze is this Thursday, end of day Pacific. That is August 29th. If you're working on any enhancements, anybody in the release team, make sure that all your code and KKPRs are been merged by that date. And if you think anything's going to slip, have an exception request ready to go, but let's work towards that date. 9/3, which is next Monday, is all docs should be ready for review. So we had the docs team mention that, and they're in good shape. But please make sure any docs that you're trying to land as part of this release are ready to go. And 9/4 is next Tuesday, which is Beta 2 being cut. Also, it's worth mentioning, next week we go into the 2-week lead up cycle of daily burn downs, in which we add an additional 2 meetings a week on Tuesday and Thursday. My current plan, unless anybody objects, is to cancel the meeting on Monday and pick up the conversation on Tuesday, given that Monday is a public holiday in the United States and we have meetings every day. If anybody feels very compelled that we have the Monday meeting, please let me know. I'm amenable to making that happen, should we try and do that. But I'm not currently worried that we need to staff that meeting on Monday. Feel free to speak up now if you think otherwise. I think if we weren't in the period of burn down, we would reschedule it to a Tuesday or possibly have it on a Monday. But given that we have a 5-day cadence, I think it's okay to miss one day. I think the only risk is not having an update for Young and the release branch management team before they actually start cutting branches. I tend to see the work that they're doing happen before I wake up and being finished when I wake up. So that's probably the only risk I can think about, is them not having a clean view on the CI signal at that point. But we will have an update on Friday for them, so we might be in good shape anyway. Okay. The only other thing was kind of a call to action email on the mailing list. I was thinking just to send out another reminder to everybody that Code Freeze is this Thursday. That's on Kubernetes Dev, the release team, and the SIG leads. I wondered if anybody wanted me to add call to actions. I want it to be very call to action. If you are this person, you must do this. Kendrick gave feedback after I sent that email last week that a lot of people updated their appropriate tickets and issues and PRs. So is there anything we should add? I won't suggest what I think needs to be added, but if we can add a call to action to folks so that come Thursday, it's of no surprise and people have 3 or 4 days to get things in the right order, what would be things we would want to see as a call to action, meaning if you are this person, go do this, and it would be incredibly helpful. Is there anything else we should add apart from Code Freeze, which is really enhancements based? Do you want me to, the only thing I can think is that I have a link from Marco saying, if you have a bug open, issue open, or are working on it, please update the status, and sending a link to all the bugs that we have open, if we think that would be beneficial. What do you think, Marco?
Maybe that might be helpful. Maybe we can give it a try.
We'll give it a try. Okay, I will work on with getting the right link and appropriate verbiage, but I want it to be fairly short and sweet. Is there anything else people need eyes on? Nope. Okay, so I will work with Marco on getting that email drafted after this. Okay, now this brings us to, before we check the project board, is there anything that we need to discuss that wasn't on the agenda? Nope. Okay, I'm going to quickly share the project board here. All right. So this is great. I've seen visible change in the last 30 minutes to this board. So that means people are paying attention to it. There was not this many in progress, and there were more in to do. So people have actually moved things from left to the right, and I like things moving to the right. Call me an old-fashioned typewriter person. Okay, so let's just review what's in progress quickly. We'll go through this because everything is assigned at this point, and I don't see anything coming to the backlog. I'm just going to pop the hood on everything that's in progress. And if you have a status update, this is your gentle prod. Okay, so this is assigned to Jim. Is Jim on the call? Okay, I'm going to ping Jim after this. Okay, adjusting PR boilerplate and labels to improve release notes UX. This is with Sasha. Is Sasha on the call? Looks like there is an associated issue here as well. Okay, I'll ping Sasha. Release blocking job criteria. I know the meeting was scheduled this morning to discuss this, but then subsequently canceled, right, Josh? So this is still in action. This is release blocking job criteria.
Yeah, we're going to try to settle it asynchronously because I actually want to get that merged.
Okay.
There's still going to be stuff that's going to wait for the release meeting, but that doesn't necessarily affect the release team, like how
Okay.
we, what's the process of something getting on one of those boards?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're dealing with things getting on that board right now as they change week to week. George has this one. Anything here, George? This is still being worked on?
I have an open PR for that one, just waiting for a LGTM.
Excellent. Thank you, George.
And same for that
And
one.
this one too?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Okay, so that's all the in progress. Let's just walk the to-dos. Okay. Document membership criteria. I have this one to do. I haven't moved it out of to-do, but I will do it. I'm still willing to take that on. This is with me as well. Same thing applies. Survey improvements in to-do. This is with emeritus leads. I'm guessing that will happen in due course. And what qualifies for a milestone? So Jeff has this one. Is Jeff on the call? No. Okay. So they are all assigned, and I take it will be moved. Everything in to-do is assigned as well. I'm going to call it there unless anybody has anything else. The only thing I noted from the call was CI signal. So George had mentioned some policy to regarding the jobs and how to get them onto boards. Was that something that needed to be tracked, George?
Yeah, I
That was
was
part of your
actually going
update?
to create an issue for today.
Okay.
I was actually going to create an issue today. So.
Okay, go ahead and create the issue and throw it on the board. That'll be much obliged. That's the only note I took from the conversations we had.
Okay. Will do.
Is there anything missing from these boards? Feel free to add things as you're working on them. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for walking that board with me. Is there anything else that we missed? Okay, so before we close out, reminder, we will meet again Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific and then Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So I will see you all there. Excited to see how the release progresses. And thank you very much for joining us today. I will post this video to YouTube later today. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Monday.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.